Yo guys, what's up? It's Speo with the Voice of Reason, and today I'm going to show you the bassline automation on my latest track, True, which is up right now on my music channel, and you can check it out right here. Now I'm just gonna give you a quick listen to the first 2 bars of this drop, because that's all my CPU will handle with the recording software running and such. But you can always listen to the whole track on my music channel, and I'll put up an annotation right here. But let's listen to the first 2 bars and see what we got there. Alright, so as you can see, we only have 2 different bass patches on this track, the Combinator one and the Maelstrom one. And we'll just have a look at what I did on the filter automation on these 2 different patches to make them sound cool and kind of moving and fitting with the track. So let's take a listen to the basses. Alright, so first up, let's take a look at Combinator 1. By the way, both of these patches are covered in tutorials I did like last week and the week before, I think, or something like this. And Combinator 1 is actually taken directly out of the Voice of Reason refill, which you can download with the link below. The only thing I did to this patch was add a saturation knob and a notch filter in here, which I've used the D-filter rack extension for, but you can also just run the Maelstrom through a Thor and chuck a notch filter in the Thor and automate this one with the rotary. But I was too lazy to do that, so I got me the D-filter rack extension, which is a great sounding notch filter. So yeah, so in the end I ended up with 3 filters to automate: a bandpass filter, a low-pass filter, and a notch filter. And what I did then was, first up, I always draw in the notes. So we go from A to F down here. And on the A part of this bass phrase kind of thing, I have the bandpass automation so that we have like 2 growls. You know, the bandpass filter always kind of gets you these nice growly sounds, especially when you automate it in the lower regions with some resonance, like I did here. And as you can see, I've got it going up 2 times. And the second time, I've automated rotary 2, which is my low pass filter, to wobble 2 times. So we have this nice kind of wow wow phrase. So yeah, that's that. And then at the end, the last kind of note on F is just 1 short growl and wobble to lead into the second bass patch, which then takes over and kind of, yeah, goes nuts. So that much for the rotary 1, which is the bandpass, and that just kind of gives us the growl, like I said. On the rotary 2, which is the low pass filter, I applied a neat little trick, and that is that the standard automation value for the low pass filter is actually 0, as you can see here. So every time I want the bass to actually be hearable and to come out, I'll have to automate it so this low pass filter comes up. And I do that because this way there's no possibility at all that this bass will at some time click or at some point where the automation cuts over, like the notch automation. Here at the start, it'll always be smooth because it'll always have this fade in time right here, because the standard value is at 0 and I'll always have to fade it in. And this way I can't even come close to some annoying clicking and stuff. And I had this problem in the past that always the automation would cut over and it would click. And this way I always have to fade it in, and this just results in a much smoother sound. And as you can see on the low pass wobble, I actually brought all the knobs up all the way right here, so we have the full frequency power for a long kind of time frame. And even on these wobbles as well, because I wanted the bass to really hit hard. The third rotary, which is the notch filter, and in this case it's probably the most important filter of all these 3, because it really colors the sound. And you can hear that if I take it off and just draw it at the top, it'll sound much, much less cool. There's just so much less movement going on. Yeah, the notch filter is always a great way to get movement into your sound. And the way I automate notch filters is very unorthodox in a way, because I always just go down and up again and down again and then once again down or once again up. It doesn't really matter that much. I just draw in ups and downs and then I just move them around until it sounds right, pretty much. That's all there is to it for notch filter automation. But you can see I'm kind of going with the growl automation right here. I'm kind of making it kind of stick together with the bandpass filter automation, so it sounds kind of coherent in a way. Yeah, and then we've got a little pitch bend sweep. And that's all there is to this bass phrase. Next up comes the Master 1, which is a little bit more interesting in a way that I've used the envelope right here to control the bandpass filter, which is with this notch filter I added later, the only filter on this patch. So this patch I've also covered in the tutorial and you can check that out, but today we'll just look at the automation. And as you can see here, I've only automated the filter envelope attack and envelope decay to control this wobble growl. Now I don't have as much control as I did on the respace up here, but it's also a cool way to get some cool sounds that you wouldn't necessarily think of yourself. So what I did on the first three kind of notes is I brought the attack all the way down, so we have these nice little clonks. And on the first one I even brought the decay down, so on the first two are really quick, then the next one goes a bit slower. It's always this envelope kind of curve. We have some attack going up. I'm just gonna draw a clip. We have the attack going up and the decay going down again. And then I can shorten the attack, so these two would kind of look like this, and I've also shortened the decay a bit, as you can see right here. So the decay would come down like this. And then on the second one, I've only shortened the attack and the decay is long again. And on the fourth one, per default, the attack is up at kind of halfway, so we have this standard growl. This is the way I think of it. So, and I use the envelope just to save on drawing time, basically. And once again, down here you can see my notch filter, which I've automated once again in a very simple fashion, simply to go down on the third note to give this whole thing some more movement and some more definition. You can really hear the notch filter working, and I think it sounds quite nice. So that's all the automation there is to this bass phrase. Of course, up here we have the sub bass, which in the case of the respace just takes over the low pass filter automation, so it goes up. And once again, the standard value for the master level on the sub bass is at 0, so we can't click it if we cut in some crude automation clips. But as you can see here, I've just taken the low pass wobble and brought it up here in this line. And for this phrase with the envelope bass, I just had to draw him in, but yeah, it's alright. And you can hear how important the sub bass is. It gives the whole thing a much more power. Yeah, and that's pretty much all there is to this phrase, which is kind of as complicated as it gets for the whole track. Next up on this second phrase, I only mashed up the order of these phrases here a bit. You can see I brought this one up to be the first on F. And next up, we have once again our little growly, jumpy things. Oh yeah, and in between those, I've brought up another note. Why is it always jumping back? Crap. Well, I brought in another note, and what I did on this was I brought the attack up a bit, so you can hear it kind of fades in these wobbles that come after it. It kind of goes slowly upward. And it sounds pretty cool, especially when on the second time the notch filter comes in as well and goes down. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this automation. We can now also have a look at what happens in the second part of the drop, where the kind of, where is it? Here. This kind of, well, weird high thing is coming in. With a lot of reverb, because I didn't activate the automation line. So this kind of just takes over, and it's a very simple automation. As you can see, it's just a lot of triangles going up and down. But what's more interesting is this little bass interlude right here coming in between those high phrases. And on this one I worked quite a while till I've figured it out what I wanted. And as you can see here, I automated the filter envelope amount as well, which is usually up at somewhere in the 60s. But on this last growl thing, you can see here we have 3 notes, so 3 individual wobbles. Here they are. And on the last one, I actually deactivated the envelope, and I took over, for more control, I automated the filter A frequency, which is the bandpass, because I wanted more control over this wobble that comes here in the end. And as you can see, I brought the first knob after the initial low knob. I brought it up quite a bit and then down as well pretty fast, just to have this nice kind of spike in bass action. And then once again together with the notch filter, and I'll just make an A-B comparison here without it. Boring, and with it suddenly sounds awesome and kind of really moving. So it's always a good idea to slap a notch filter on any kind of bass and just sweep through that shit. You don't always have to do it, as you can see right here. It's just without notch filtering, and it sounds pretty cool as well. On these first 2 bounces, or first 2 wobbles, I don't know how to call them, there is still the envelope going on. So on the first one we've got an attack of like little bit, and on the second one I brought it down a bit, so we have a faster wobble, which gives it that shuffled feel. And on both of them I brought the decay down, so they are quick and kind of handy little wobbles. And together with this last one, which is longer and has the spike that I drew in, and the notch filter, it gives a very nice kind of respite from the high piercing, from the high and piercing kind of other synth in this drop. Let's try playing back this whole thing, and fingers crossed. Hey, it actually worked. Yeah, but this is pretty much all there is to the bass automation. I don't think I did any more actually, because down here it gets back to the initial bass automation again. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it actually. So as you can see, I'm not doing all this extremely complicated stuff. I just draw in a couple of ups and down slopes on notch filters and do a couple of little wobbles. And yeah, but the important thing to remember is that in the sequencer, you are the boss. So you shouldn't copy what I showed you right here. This should just be some inspiration for you to work upon, and create your own automation lines, of course. Because at the end, you decide what you want to happen with your bass, and you decide how it should sound. So you should also draw in the clips and the ups and downs and stuff. But enough from me. I hope this tutorial was useful, and you can take your bassline automation to another level. I really don't see it as that complicated. It's just a couple of knobs. Yeah. Cool. Have a good one of whatever you're having, and I'll see you next time.